All right. Are you confident Lamar finds the key to beating the Steelers, Keyshawn?
I am, just because he understands the significance of beating the Steelers. They're ahead of him right now. In order to get that 1-2 seed, possibly, you got to get even and jump them. And this starts tonight, or it starts on Sunday, better yet. I don't know why I keep thinking they play tonight, not the Philadelphia-Washington game. But it's weird that he's only played them 4 times. I don't know, he's been injured and stuff like that, but it's so weird because he's been in the league, and I'm just, it just keeps missing them. And then when he is playing, they're losing. But I think they got a much better running attack going up against his defense. He's got a much better passing attack than he's ever had before. I think he goes into Pittsburgh, which is a tough place to play, and the Terrible Towels will be rolling and doing their deal. But I feel like it's his time to finally kind of get even with him for the most part this year.
So you're picking the Ravens?
Yeah, for sure.
3.5 or just straight up?
Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about all that. Don't worry about that.
I think he can do it. I'm not confident, though. I think that the Steelers are going to win this game. I think it'll be a good game. It can go either way, but I am picking the Steelers. Lamar has struggled against them. It's a divisional matchup. We know those can go many different ways. And he is having an MVP-level season, and he has Derrick Henry, which is an X factor that I don't think he has really had and hasn't worked with before. He's special, and he's having an unbelievable season as well. The difference is their defense is not on the level of the Steelers. So we will see whose strength wins out in this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, they're both really well-coached teams, well-prepared teams.
Is Kyle Hamilton, is Hamilton going to play?
Is Hamilton playing?
I don't know. I was just asking you.
You know what's funny? It's just that, no matter how good you are and how good your teams are, it's just something about certain matchups. Did you ever have that?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just you just never played well against certain teams.
Absolutely.
And you just never could beat. For me, I just felt like when I played against, Chicago, it was just I'm going to Chicago. It's going to be a struggle because it's just something about it. I don't know. And then after so long, it gets in your head.
That's how I was. I guess.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe I was like that with the Saints or something. I just never really had any killer games with the Saints.
Yeah.
Kyle Hamilton practice. It's looking good for him to play this weekend.
Yeah. So that helps their defense a lot.
These two this is the rivalry within the division. Obviously, the Browns, Pittsburgh and the Browns don't like each other, but the Browns are never serious, so it's not really a rivalry. Yeah. This is the rivalry within the AFC North. There's a lot of respect between these two teams, between the coaches, between the fan bases. It's expected to be a very physical game and matchup, and again, they obviously know each other, but this year, you really have what the Steelers haven't had for the past couple of years, which is competent quarterback play to go along with their defense. It's always competitive, and this year, a really, 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 really good defense playing at the top of the league. So I think this is going to be a great game, but I am going to pick the Steelers. And on the Steelers side, Russell Wilson is 3-0 as the Steelers starting quarterback, but only one of those wins came against a team with a winning record. So, Paul, what can Russ prove against the Ravens this weekend?
I think over these past few weeks, Russ, I'm growing back on Russ because a couple years ago watching him in Denver, I soured on him. I thought for a second that, he might be washed and maybe on his way out the league. But
conversation was had.
Yeah, definitely the conversation. But now he's making me believe wow, he has a great coach. He has a defense that can win a Super Bowl. And he reminds me of Russ in Seattle right now. What he can prove, if they get the win, if Russ gets this win, he's showing me that you can win a Super Bowl with him. This will be one of those games that you circle on the calendar. It's Lamar Jackson, the Ravens, one of the best teams in football. The MVP is on the other side. If they beat the Ravens, this tells me that, hey, it's a possibility that the Steelers just come out of nowhere and can be wow, they can actually challenge for a Super Bowl this year.
You agree with that?
I agree. He will prove to me that he is back on pace to taking the team to the Super Bowl. And when I go back and I'm not watching the film, I'm not telling the producers, hey, go get all that film from 2013 and 2014. Just my eyes and me knowing enough football and been around it my whole life, Joy, I'm looking at him in the first 3 games at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I go back to his first 3 games in 2013 when he was a quarterback of Seattle when they went and won the Super Bowl. In the style in which he played, and I look at that and I go, damn, he looked like the same dude now. A little trimmer, not all pudgy like he was in Denver. Then lost a little bit of that. Can still get out on the perimeter, move around in the pocket. Then what's so crazy is I started thinking, and I told Nick, I said, Nick, let me ask you this. Go back and look at the numbers in 2013 in his first 3 starts, and look at his first 3 starts in Pittsburgh. They're the damn same. His passing yards in 2013, 221. 2024, he got 245. Passing TDs, both of them 6. Wins, both 3. Interceptions, 2 and 1. Sacks, 8 on both ends. You can just look at it and tell that if he goes out there and he beats Baltimore, Pittsburgh is on to something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to feel legit. I think there's still just the way that the season started, him being named the starter in camp and then getting injured, and then it's Justin Fields, and we all kind of got to wonder what Justin Fields is going to look like, and then Justin Fields is winning, but it's still something, still not quite there, and then Tomlin's not committing, and now he's a starter, and now he looks good. If he, and last weekend against the Commanders, they're a great team, but it still ends up being, a last-second play. If he can beat the Ravens.
Only he makes.
Right.
Justin Fields doesn't make that throw.
For sure. Agreed. But still, I feel like this weekend, for a lot of reasons, it's a great heat check for a lot of teams. We're at that point in the season where it's like, okay, we think you're this, but we're getting the gift of a matchup to see if you really are.
Right.
We have the Commanders and Eagles. We have Buffalo and Kansas City. We have Ravens and Steelers. These are great heat checks for this point. Are you really the MVP? Or are you kind of playing like you are? Are you really winning these games from luck, or are you really that good? Are you really the quarterback that the Steelers have been looking for, or have we just been kind of getting by and you hit a moon ball and that's happened to work out?
I think he will be the quarterback the Steelers have been looking for. And I've been watching him for since he obviously was at North Carolina State, then he moved to Wisconsin, and then Pete took him in the 3rd round and made him the guy after paying the other quarterback from Green Bay. I've been watching him the whole time. Over time, I think he applied too much pressure to himself by wanting to be. And I'll say this, and I'll say it to his face, and I ain't got no problem saying it to his face, because I've told him before. He put too much pressure trying to become a celebrity, a big time, instead of letting it just come to him naturally, because it was already coming to him. Mm-hmm. He all of a sudden just put his foot on the pedal full speed. And then that destroyed everything that he had already built, because they got tired of it in Seattle. Then they say, you know what, get out. Then he goes to Denver. They give him the keys to the car, the bag, the plane. They give him all. And everybody looking at him like, wait a minute, man, you got a locker and you got your own office. So now all that pressure, think about that. Joy, he had his own office. All of that pressure.
Quarterbacks don't usually get their own office?
I don't know one quarterback that is on. I know quarterbacks that had 3 or 4 lockers, but not his own office. Okay? I know that. But because they got a bunch of junk, we having a bunch of junk. But all that pressure in Denver and all that money and all of those things, and he was supposed to be the savior because they starved for a quarterback since Peyton Manning. They were starving. They needed one bad. And then Sean Payton comes in, and it ain't his guy. And Sean came in already side-eyed him from day one, so he never really got a full opportunity to show what he could do. Mike Tomlin brings him in. Mike, like, we on the same page, man. We ain't going to be no stars. You ain't got no locker, no extra offices, and none of that. You're going to come in here, you're going to compete, you're going to win the job, and you're going to get back to 2013, and I think that's what it is right now.
I completely agree. I think it became more about a brand for us.
More about a brand.
Than it was about what was happening on the field.
Yeah.
There was too much of it being kind of proving it was about him, and I don't think that's actually even his personality. I think he's showing this with the Steelers. That was why I thought it failed in Denver. Outside Nathaniel Hackett clearly not being a
good coach,
a head coach. Well, I mean, he's not a head coach. Like,
I don't think he's a good offensive coordinator. But anyway,
maybe not. But he certainly is not a head coach. And to put Russ in that position with a first-time head coach for a team that was starved for a quarterback, with the expectations that came with the contract. The breakup with Seattle wasn't completely seamless. There were a lot of rumors about it. Is he trying to get these people fired? Is the team sick of him?
It was
just a lot.
It was a lot.
And he wasn't, and maybe no one would be, capable of building up a culture and an environment of winning in those situations. And on top of that, he was bad. Like, he had a bad year.
No, he
the
had a bad year.
conversation about whether he was washed or not was definitely had. And since then, he has bounced back. And why I thought Pittsburgh was such a great place for him is because of all the things that you said. It's not about a brand. He doesn't need to build a Steelers brand. Steelers brand is solid.
He cool.
Okay? That was just, you don't have to wonder at all what the Pittsburgh Steelers are. You have a Hall of Fame head coach whose reputation is impeccable. You have a style of play that has lasted for decades and decades. You have a great defense. You have a fan base that understands how things work. There's not these crazy, wild expectations other than just go win. That's just not what it is there. So I think it was the perfect place for him, and that's part of the reason why he's succeeding. He doesn't have to come in and invent everything. Just go play football. Just go do exactly what's asked of you.
Go play football,
Go
man.
do what you're best at. Don't worry about the brand. All of that will come, and it's been a complete transformation. I think it's really translated for him.
I'm happy. I am genuinely happy for him because he's always been nothing but cool with me.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, we're not talking about, well, I'm not talking about people personally.
No, but I'm saying he's always been cool with me. Like, it's just always been, like, straight up, straightforward, you know.
Things went sideways in Denver. Sometimes you go a place and it gets weird.
Yeah.
You know anything about that?
Sideways it gets weird in Denver? I don't know nothing about that.
Not in Denver.
Maybe in Washington.
You know, sometimes you get somewhere it's
LA
not
with the
quite what
Clippers
you thought it was going to
It was
be.
great.
Brooklyn or something.
Everything was great everywhere.
Everywhere. It was great.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.